Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome everybody out to the Fabricator stage. We have a great great presentation today talking about technology, how to protect your business against cybersecurity. We've got some great presenters, Rich and Mickey, here to talk to us today about preventing cyber attacks and security. Also, a quick reminder, if you haven't, visit the Natural Stone Institute booth, the Rockhead booth, the ISFA booth. These are all great associations that will help you build your business and help you grow your business. With that, I'd like to turn the time over to Rich and Mickey talking about cybersecurity. Thank you.
Thanks, Blake. Appreciate it. Yeah, so we're going to cover two main topics here today. The first one is just going to be an overview of new technologies in our industry. So whether it's new software, new hardware, new ways of doing business, we're going to touch on a bunch of these kind of interesting topics. Then we're going to move into some cybersecurity discussions. We've had a lot of attacks in our industry in the last year or so, just like everybody has. And there's some pretty common sense and some non-common sense things you can do to protect yourself before you get hit, and then as you're getting hit, and then after you're hit. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on that too. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Rich Katzmann. I run the Rockheads Group, and what the Rockheads Group is, it's a group of countertop fabricators from across the country that have all joined in to share best practices amongst each other, to network with each other, to help solve each other's problems. We all do a benchmarking analysis every year so that everybody can compare numbers and see how they're doing analytically with each other. And then we're also a buying group. So if you join the group, you get special rebates, discounts on a variety of products across the industry.
And those analytics, that benchmarking, those are all anonymous, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when people participate in our benchmarking, their company name is never locked into their numbers. And Mick, why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I come from stone fabrication for 20 plus years. And also the other half of my career was in banking and analytics and software. So in this role, I work with Stone App. I lead their business development effort, and it allows me to combine kind of both parts of my career. So
Mickey's the tech guy. I'm just here to facilitate. So moving along in the presentation, if my clicker would work, there we go. First of all, what we're going to talk about is just kind of an open discussion about what's going on in our industry. So I think as everybody or most people know, we're considerably behind other manufacturing types of industries, across the country, right? The stone guys, we've been artisans for years, and we resisted technology for many, many years, up until about, what would you say, Mick, maybe 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, we started seeing CNC equipment come in. We started seeing digital lasers and software into the industry. And now we're playing catch up to kind of catch up to other innovations that have already been out there.
Correct. Yeah, but it's coming fast, right? So we're seeing immense change and immense advancement in the technology that is out here today for fabrication.
Sure. So talk to me a little bit. I know you're on the software side, so let's start there. Talk to me about software from the very beginning of a process all the way to the end. What attributes should you look for as a shop maybe that's currently using whiteboards or currently, is using Excel spreadsheets or, Google Drive to maintain their jobs? What should you look for?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would start with what is your dream, right? What size you would like to be in your dream? What could you possibly expand into multiple, very diverse business lines that we just had a discussion about? Could you expand into multiple product types? And so you want to look for tools that would help you be successful as you do that, right? As you grow and move and adapt with your market, you want tools that are flexible enough to do that so you don't have to start over with a new tool, right?
Mm-hmm. And what I've seen recently too is the tools giving you the ability to not only communicate in the shop, but also out in the field.
Absolutely, and with your customers.
And with your,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
explain that
absolutely.
to me a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of our tools today in software would have the ability to get a digital signature, for instance. So when you send that quote out to your customer, imagine you could show your customer how that vein of their material would flow in their countertop drawing, right? So that technology is there. When you send that quote to your customer, they can sign digitally and it comes right back to you. You can see the number of times that they've opened it, or if they've not opened it yet, so maybe it was sent to a wrong address, but you have that visibility. So plus your forms and disclaimers and contractual things, all of that is available. Your checklists for your field technicians, all of that is available, right? Where it just goes right back into the project.
So now your templaters and your installers will have all your customer information. So if Mrs. Jones asks a question, they could probably pull it up on their tablet or on their phone.
Yeah, I wasn't smart enough the first time I had to buy a refrigerator from a customer for a scratch to put that on my checklist, but I was sure smart enough after my second time I bought a refrigerator. So, yeah, so you can build all those in and have that protection there. There's other advancements as well. The ability to get paid faster. So you could send your invoice out to a customer and they can click to pay, and that allows you to get paid much faster. Yeah.
That is absolutely huge. Talk a little bit about the cloud, right?
Yeah.
And how, and then maybe touch on a little bit too on how cyber security is affected, or how the cloud can help with that or hurt with that.
Sure, absolutely. So cloud-based systems, everything's going to be out in the web. So it does introduce additional risk, but you take steps to offset that, right? So if you're looking at cloud-based systems, which virtually every ERP system in our industry and really outside the industry use cloud-based systems because they're scalable, because you can push the latest release. I mean, there's so many reasons why you would use a cloud-based system. Money, it's much easier to build it as well. So on cloud-based, you want to look for, from a security standpoint, there's some common practices. So a common practice is called like 3-2-1 backups. So you would have 3 separate data centers that act as your servers. Professional data centers are important here because their job is to keep that information secure, right? So you'd have 3 sets of servers containing that information in your first data center, a backup, 2 backups essentially in a second data center, separate completely from the first, and then a third as the final. So 3-2-1, that's a common practice in the industry, and that's just one of many things that could be done.
Interesting. All right, switching gears just here a little bit. Our first bullet is on AI, and I've got 3 things that I've seen in our industry where AI is really helping. One is kind of common across all industries. If you have a job description you need written, AI is phenomenal at writing job descriptions. So definitely use AI for that. Also, when you're getting customer comments, reviews, Google reviews, Facebook reviews, AI does an amazing job of responding to those customers. So we highly encourage people to look at using AI to do that.
Sure, you can have customer surveys and or phone calls, and it can be picked up through AI, the text from that, and they can really highlight for you common words. Maybe you are not, your reviews aren't as high as you would like them to be, and maybe a common word that would stick out would be communication, right? So you're doing all the right things, the installs are going well, but you're not communicating effectively throughout the process to your customers, so you know where to target and address.
Yep. And then my favorite one is also the most scary. So right now, in our industry, as everybody knows, or in all industries, cell phones are tracked everywhere you go. So it doesn't matter where you go, people know where you are. It's not just Alexa listening in. And what some innovative companies are doing on the marketing side right now is they can see when a customer has gone into a big box shop, into, say, your competitor, and now you can use technology to push ads to them, to target your sales force, to send them emails. So the geo-tracking element out there is incredibly powerful right now.
Sure. And I'm going to jump into integration a little bit here, if that's okay, because there are tools specifically for that, right? And then we're looking for opportunities to integrate, and that's going to be a common theme, I think, over the next several years, is bringing these great tools and bringing them together where they can all work together as one unit.
Yep. And so we're covering, and so there's not a lot of machine companies here, right? They've all centralized to Tice these days. But there's been some really big innovations in CNC cutting, in regular saw jets. A couple that come to mind. Poseidon now has a machine, if you've heard of Poseidon, they're out of Florida, where they call it their hybrid cycle. So you can cut and edge all without flipping or touching the stone.
While you load the other side.
While you load the other side, right? So a lot of innovation there, speeds up the process considerably. And Park Industries has also had some great innovations lately. They have their new Javelin machine,
Correct.
which has been out for about 100 days now. And all the reports we're seeing are it's working phenomenally. They're doing their time studies on it right now. But everybody's expectation is that that's going to be a big time saver also.
Yeah. There's even vibration sensors, right, that could tell you that a bearing is starting to go. And so you have all this new technology that as we continue to integrate there is really exciting.
And the big thing we've seen in the Rockheads Group is the iris scanner, right? That has really been pushed out to the group. We have a lot of members using it, and I have heard very, very little complaints about that.
Oh yeah, no, we've got several customers that use that horse scanner, and very, very happy with that.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn to some sad news, okay? We're going to talk a little bit about cybersecurity. A lot of data on these slides, and the slide deck is always made available to everybody, so don't feel that you've got to take notes on everything. I think the key this is kind of the high level. A couple of important bullets here. One is customers like ours, or companies like ours, have paid over $1 billion in ransomware this year. And that's up about 400% from the year before. So, these companies are getting to us. And I literally, from my director of operations, received an email today, a phishing email that was a complete hoax. And that was this morning already, so very timely. 74% of all cyber breaches are from humans. It's us opening the wrong thing. It's not someone figuring out how to get into your firewall. It is literally an employee or you opening an email, and then now that goes and hides in your system. And now they can use that to figure out what to do next.
Yeah.
So almost 3/4 of them are because people have done something wrong. And that's key, right? When we talk about how to avoid issues like this, knowing that it's employee behavior helps dictate what the training or what needs to be done.
Right, and you may have an IT person that you work with that can do a lot of they can push out test emails that aren't really harmful, but test your staff so that it opens the door for that training and education that really drives home the importance of this, right?
Yeah.
And so if you don't have that IT person, groups like Rockheads, ISFA, and others can point you in the right direction to get that talent available to you.
Yes, right. Pretty much all IT services firms these days have been forced to have a cyber arm. And they're very good. And exactly what you said, they're testing, right? Because you can train someone, they can see slides, but when they're sitting there, and they haven't had their coffee in the morning, and they get this email that really looks real, that's when the guys are getting in.
Yeah, even being in the industry, I'm sure I've opened one or two myself that just happened to hit me at the right time from the right name, and you fall subject to that.
It's
sure.
like the old radar detector, right? As soon as the systems figure out how to stop them, then the bad actors modify it just enough so that they can get back in.
Yeah.
So I'm running through a couple of these. The purpose of the slide, a lot of data on here. It's really that small businesses are the ones that are being attacked. It's not the depots and the Walmarts and the big guys. What the bad actors are doing is they're coming into our shops, and then they're trying to go from us to the next size shop, then the next size shop up. That's how, if you look at all the major break-ins over the last couple of years, That's how they've all gotten in, is through smaller shops that don't have full staff looking for these things and are able to get in that way.
No comments on that. You hate it. You hate to see it. Yeah.
There's a couple of different types of attacks. We're going to blow through these. If you want the deck, please feel free to grab it. Ransomware is the big one right now. That is happening. We've had 3 Rockhead members get hit with ransomware, and a supplier in the industry, a software supplier in the industry, not Mickey, got hit last year that affected 10 of our 100 members, right? So ransomware is a big deal out there, and it's affecting, it could not only, I mean, the problem is when I always thought about ransomware, I thought, well, my employees are good. I never thought that, well, what if my supplier went down?
Yeah,
right? What if I wake up in the morning and I can't get to any of my stuff? That was what this latest attack did to everybody. It opened their eyes that they need to be looking at everybody they communicate with, not just their own employees.
Yeah, very good point.
Yep. All right, so Mick, we're running a little short on time. We're going to jump to the must-dos, right? So let's spend a little bit of time on what you can do right now to better secure your shop when something happens. So let's paint this scenario. You wake up in the morning, you come in, and none of your machines are connected to the internet.
Yeah, let's hit the next slide.
Okay, sorry. Let's hit the next slide on that one, then we'll come back.
There we go. So you walk in, your systems aren't up, right? So the number one thing is plan, right? So our shops in Florida, back in the day, we had a hurricane plan. If a hurricane was coming, we already had it mapped out what to do. You probably have an emergency evacuation plan, or at least I hope you do. So you need the same thing here, a breach impact, a cyber breach impact planning. And involve your team, because that's the critical thing. One way to do this, how do you start down that path? Start at the front of your shop, because whatever you decide to do there is going to impact the next department and the department after that. So start at the front of your shop and develop that plan. Okay, we're going to shut off all computers right now, right? Or at least access to internet. Nobody has access to internet. What do you do? And so you start mapping out what can be, what you can put in place, whether it's handwritten forms that you can use to communicate with your clients that might walk in the door at that moment, or all the way down the line. You start there, go to the next department, and just work your way all the way through. Sure. And assign somebody to be responsible for this, and give them the opportunity to be successful. Let your whole team know how important this is, and give them the time that's needed to document the planning.
Sure, so just as most shops have a safety person, right? You're saying we should have a cyber breach person.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
That owns it from the beginning of the shop all the way through.
Correct.
That's interesting. That's great. That's great. All right, I'm going to back up one slide, then we're going to leave just a couple of minutes for questions. Why don't you talk to us about must-dos, Mick?
Oh, must-dos, you should check out with the tools that you use today, you can understand what protocols they're taking to make sure that your information is safe. Internally, the same thing, right? Obviously, the education piece that we're talking about here on the left, involve that IT team, get them to send unexpected emails so that it opens the door for that discussion and training, and see how successful you are. And watch the growth there. So regular testing there. An annual cyber review, I think that's very important, and involve your IT person, and it'll just put together all the steps that you've taken throughout the year on that. The disk encryption, if you're using the web-based, then we'll be taking care of that on that side, right? Cyber insurance, there is that out there, and they will also make sure that you have the right protocols in place. They will very much ensure that when they write that policy. So that is a good one to look at as well.
We found insurance companies that not necessarily specialize in cyber, but it's such a big deal right now in their industry. They've become cyber experts.
Yeah,
and they can help. You're going to have a technology guy that's going to be able to help build a plan, but your insurance guys too can help build kind of that offline plan, because the technology guys don't necessarily focus on that.
Yeah.
The insurance guys are looking at the whole picture,
Yep.
right? So business continuation, like you talk about, those are the type of things that a good insurance company will help you with.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you have access to those resources as well, right?
Yes.
You could connect people there.
Absolutely, as Rockheads, yeah. So that's our discussion on both technology and cyber today. We've only got a few people out here. Anybody have any questions on anything? Anybody want to talk about anything else?
Okay.
All righty.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much.
Let's give Rich and Mickey a round of applause. Thank you very much. Quick reminder, we've got some great sessions still coming up. We've got coming up at 3:15, what is your business worth? Talking a little bit about mergers and acquisitions. 3:15, and then at 4 o'clock we have a fabricator forum, 4 o'clock fabricator forum. Reminder that there is also a happy hour scheduled at 4 o'clock today, and then also the NSI happy hour is at 5:30 on Hall B in room B303. Make sure you visit your Natural Stone Institute booth, your Rockhead booth, and your ISFA booth. And we'll see you back here at 3:15. Thank you.